Hey everybody, my name's Scott Klein, and tonight I am going to share with you a little presentation that I'm actually putting together for our group that I work for here in Atlanta, and I wanted to share it with you guys first because I want some honest feedback, baby, before I share it with the group. So I figured I'd give it and share it with all my Facebook friends because I know you guys are so opinionated, and you'll tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. So how to market on Facebook, salespeople breaking out of obscurity. Hey, listen, Grant Cardone, I think, is the one that said it. Your biggest problem as a salesperson is obscurity, baby. Nobody knows you. Nobody knows what you do, and nobody knows where you do it at. So with that being said, Facebook is the ultimate game changer in terms of leveling the playing field for that. So just a little bit about me. So some of you guys know, some of you guys don't. Most of you guys probably don't, but I'm a 36-year veteran in this industry. Got in the business originally in 1983, and since then I've done a little bit of everything. Obviously sales, I've been a new car manager, a used car manager, a finance manager, finance director, general sales manager. I owned my own buy here, pay here lot at one time, and I am currently the corporate sales trainer for a group here in Atlanta, Smith Automotive Group. Do recruiting, do a little bit of everything actually, but what do they say? Jack of all trades, master of none, right? But with all that being said, I think I got onto Facebook back in '09. In fact, at the time, I was actually kind of running a branch of the group I was with at the time. It was kind of an offshoot of one of the stores, and it was kind of a satellite location. And back then, this was like '09 now, I was actually doing, wasn't live because Facebook didn't have a live feature back then, but I was doing testimonials. I was doing customer testimonials, and I don't even think I had a flip phone back then. I had to do it with a real camera. That's how much technology has changed over the years. So I've been kind of marketing a little bit on Facebook, but more paying attention to what everybody else is doing over the years. And I've followed what I would call some of the greats on Facebook, and some of these names, I'm sure you've probably heard of most of them. I think one of the first guys I remember that was making a pretty big impact several years ago was Robert Weissman. Robert Weissman, he was working for a Hyundai dealership, and I remember when I was doing my sales training classes, I used to show everybody what Mr. Weissman was doing, hoping that they would catch the bug and catch the urge to start doing some of the things that he was doing, because you could tell that he was making an impact and making a difference by what he was doing on Facebook. So he was probably one of the first ones I remember that was leveraging the platform. Obviously, Elise Kephart was another one that did a really good job. Mike Davenport is probably the biggest YouTuber out there in the car business. Bill Hab, I followed Bill from the time he started working at his Hyundai dealership all the way up until now he's Mr. Sales Trainer. He's probably one of the better examples of how to really leverage this platform, because I remember when Bill started at the Hyundai dealership that he originally worked at, and how he's just kind of moved and progressed all the way to where he is today. And he really did it all through the leverage of Facebook. So a lot of people have done a lot of great things, and I've been sitting back and taking some serious notes. So I wanted to kind of put it into a presentation, because actually our group that I work with, they're like behind the times. I need to kick them in the butt and get them to the next level by using this platform and some of the other social media outlets that are out there. So without further ado, let's go ahead, baby. Let's go ahead and start her off. So, hey, what is the problem, right? And I mentioned it a second ago, that obscurity, not knowing enough people, not knowing what you do and where you do it. I mean, let's face it, this is a numbers game. You've all heard it before, and we all know that the more people you know, the more opportunities that you have to sell a vehicle. And what better way to get to know people than the power and the leverage of Facebook? Because what is it? 4 billion, I don't know what the number is, but it's in the billions how many people are on there. And when you really think about the opportunities that Facebook provides, it doesn't make any sense not to be on here trying to leverage the platform. So, hey, let's face it, folks. Facebook is the ultimate meat market where you can get to know people so they know you, they can like you, and they can trust you because, hey, let's face it, the way it used to be is, when people showed up at your dealership, they didn't know who you were, so they didn't necessarily like you. They didn't necessarily trust you, which made it a much bigger hurdle to overcome. So with the power of Facebook, hey, people can get to know you. They can get to trust you before they ever meet you. That is a huge benefit to be able to level that playing field of the trust and like factor. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the usage of Facebook and maybe even a little history of how it used to be used. When I first started doing what I'm doing now, which again is a corporate sales trainer, I started doing this back in 2009, which back in 2009, salespeople were trying to leverage the opportunities of Facebook. But back then, they weren't having a whole lot of luck. I'd hear every now and then, a salesperson sold a car here, salesperson sold a car there. But it wasn't anything like it is today where there's guys selling 20, 30, I don't know, maybe even 40 cars a month just off the power of Facebook. But here's the other thing too, back then, most people were using it more to catch up with friends and family and that kind of thing. And now if that's kind of been your mindset, if you're seeing this for the first time maybe and hearing this information for the first time and you've been on Facebook for a while, but you've been using it mainly just to kind of keep up with friends and family and see what people are doing maybe on the other side of the world, you got to start thinking about using this platform to leverage business opportunities, which means you got to change a few things about what you're doing and how you're doing it with this platform. So with that being said, let's talk about some best practices, things to do and things not to do, because obviously in any situation, you got the things you want to do and the things that you want to avoid. So with that being said, I know a lot of this kind of goes without saying, but let's face it, folks, you shouldn't be discussing politics. I know, hey, if you've been using Facebook for your own agenda, and you've been following, your friends and relatives, hey, politics, if you want to talk about it, hey, that's up to you. But I'm telling you, if you're going to be using this more for a business platform, and there's probably some guys out there that's going to disagree with me because I know there's still guys out there that use this for business purposes, but they love talking about politics. I'm going to tell you, I would stay away from it. That's my opinion. If you don't want to agree with it, I respect that, but I'm just telling you, for my money, if I was going to get into this and use this as a platform to leverage to get business, I would stay away from political stuff. I would stay away from sexual innuendos and discussions and that kind of thing. The same thing with religious stuff. I would kind of bite my tongue on some of that stuff. Again, there's certain things that you can probably get involved in, little type discussions, but some of these knockdown, drag out discussions on the above, you just don't really want to get embroiled in that. And then obviously probably the worst one of the bunch on here is the race stuff. Stay away from any racism, content or whatever. So, hey, consistency. Consistency is a big word, and what you don't want to do is be inconsistent, right? Because like the girl up there that started doing her pull-ups in 2011, here it is 5 years later, you can see how consistent she's been, right? Same thing on Facebook. You want to be consistent in what you post and when you post. What you don't want to do is just do this like once a week. You're not going to gain any traction by doing that. So I'm going to tell you, I would say, and again, this is from me watching these other guys doing what they're doing, and there's some people that post 15, 16 times a day. That's probably going a little bit overboard in my opinion, but they would probably say, hey, it works for me. It might work for you as well, but I'm going to tell you, definitely post at least once a day. I think the sweet spot might be 3 to 5 times a day. It might be a little more than that. You'll kind of have to play around with it to, really figure out, what is the right amount. But you definitely want to be on there on a daily basis. So here's the other thing. Don't post the same things over and over again. You got to get a little creative. You got to change things up a little bit. Don't keep, I see some salespeople out there, everything that they post is all about their dealership, all about vehicles, all about their big sales. And I think in the long term, in the long run, that turns people off. People want to buy from people that they like and trust, right? People want to get to know you. They want to see the real you. And because of this platform, you can share that personal level with everybody so they can get to know you. So don't discard that by just posting everything about your vehicle. So, post baby pictures, post, going to the game, and post, birthday parties and that kind of thing. Obviously, you want to share stuff on vehicles, and I kind of have it broken down there in the bottom there, as you can see down here. How you kind of want to break this up. You should probably split it up. I suggest doing, 33% personal stuff, 33% sales and vehicles, that kind of thing. And then, another 33% other interests, things maybe you like to share. Personally, I'm not really big on sharing stuff. If you follow me, I don't share a whole lot of stuff. And mainly because I like doing my own thing. I like making my own content. And I've gotten bit, and I'm sure you can relate to this, where, you see something that looks pretty cool on there. I remember, this is going back a few weeks, and some of you might remember this, but there was a photo of Blue Angels that were going over Texas A&M Stadium. And it showed this one Blue Angel that was kind of like out in front, and he took a selfie, and you could see the background of the stadium and a couple other planes. And when I first looked at it, I was like, damn, that is a freaking great shot. But as it turned out, it was bogus. It was, photoshopped. And, so there's a lot of stuff out there that, I've gotten bit by the stuff just not being real. So I just got to the point where I don't really share a whole lot. But those are things that you could definitely do, and share stuff that's legitimate. Legitimate's the main thing. So with all that being said, go through your feed. If you're going to start using this for a business platform, you're going to want to go through your feed. One of the things I hear a lot of people talk about is, well, my page, if I'm going to use my page for business purposes, it's disgusting, man. There's like, if someone landed on my page, they'd bounce off it real quick, because I got a lot of stuff on there they're probably not going to, they're not going to like political stuff, like sexual stuff, or I say I got a mistake on there, political stuff on there twice, but that should be religious stuff. I need to change that. But hey, it's real simple, folks. All you got to do is go on there and delete stuff. You don't have to delete your whole page, because it's kind of like a Google search. If you do a Google search for a product or a service, how many pages do you go on Google? No more than 3, right? So it's kind of the same thing on Facebook. If you've got 5 years of political stuff on your page, you don't have to delete all 5 years of it, because people aren't going to go back that far. But you definitely want to go back, far enough, maybe, I don't know, just depending on how much you post, maybe you go back a month, 2 months, 3 months, or maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks, but you don't have to delete everything. But you definitely want to get rid of all the political stuff, all the sexual stuff, all the religious stuff. And most importantly, probably the number one killer, in my opinion, is anything that has to do with racist stuff. Get rid of that stuff and eliminate it from your page. So with that being said, let's talk about cover photo, Facebook cover photo. And just so you guys know, don't get all bent out of shape that I cut and pasted off of Frank's page here. I've got full permission for Frank. In fact, I even wanted to send him the PowerPoint before I did this, but he said, hey man, I trust you. Go for it. I'm anxious to see what it looks like. So, Frank's kind of out there. He's got a lot of his personal information out there on Facebook, which I know a lot of people do. But first things first, if your cover photo doesn't represent what you do and where you do it, you want to change it. And as you can see, Frank's got his name up there. He's got his dealership, Piazza Honda of Springfield. He's got his big old phone number right there. And hey, y'all know I'm the GIF master, right? Frank, hey, I got to say, Frank's got the best GIF out there, in my opinion. I mean, check that out, man. Is that like not badass or what? If I were you, if I was a salesperson, I'd be getting my own GIFs like he's got it. They're not hard to make, and they're memorable. Again, you want to be memorable. You want people to remember you, and that's one way to do it. Get your own GIF, baby. Hey, excuse me. The next section is your bio section. Again, this is where you want to put where you currently work. I look at a lot of salespeople's page and they don't have where they work. And again, mistake, because if somebody lands on your page that might be checking you out and wants to know a little bit more about you, you got to have this stuff filled out. Here's the thing though. Be careful over here on the right. Be careful not to list too many past or previous positions. I've seen a few people where they have underneath where they work over here, used to work at ABC Widgets, used to work at ABC Honda, used to work at XYZ Motors. It's like they're like a who's who for who they haven't worked for, man. I mean, come on, that's like job hopper city, baby. You don't want to be that guy. So don't put every single job you've had on there, put 3 or 4 or 5. And, again, it gives people a good sense of maybe where you've been, where some of the other places you work, so they know you're not a rookie. There's a lot of advantages to that. The next thing, the about section, and this is where, you got to kind of ask yourself, how much personal information should you be putting on Facebook? As you can see, Frank's got his phone number out there. He's got his, he doesn't have his address, but he's got, where he lives, Glen Mills, Pennsylvania, never heard of it. And he's got his birthday, doesn't have the year. If you look on my page, I don't have my home address, but I've got my phone number and I have my year on there. So you can calculate and say, man, that guy, he's 61 years old. He don't look it though, but he is. So again, you just have to answer that question. How much stuff do I really want to put out there? But you want to fill all this in. You want to fill in, the about section. So again, if someone's on your page and they're trying to figure you out and where you're from and what you're doing, they can get the information. And, the other good thing about this too is like work and education page. This is a potential rapport builder because again, if someone is kind of checking you out and they're kind of flipping through your pages here, Frank doesn't have it on here and I don't think I have it on mine, but because I didn't really go to college anyway. But, maybe you got on here that you went to the University of Michigan, baby, go blue, who they're getting their butts beat tonight by Penn State. I'm watching the game as I'm talking here. And, oh, wait, it's 21-14. They're coming back. But at any rate, if you got your college or you got your high school on here and someone, again, is kind of checking you out, guess what? That could be an instant rapport builder because we all know common ground builds rapport. So fill this stuff out. You just never know who's going to be looking at it. Places where you live, same thing here. Maybe you lived in Timbuktu, Iowa, and the guy that's checking you out lived in Timbuktu, Iowa. Well, guess what? You got a connection there. There's a pretty good chance if someone's thinking about a vehicle and they're saying, man, I see this guy Frank, or I see this guy Scott, or I see this guy Joe or Mary or whatever, and they're seeing you all over and they want to get to know you maybe a little better, and they bounce on, where you've lived. And again, maybe you lived in a similar area to where they lived. Well, guess what? They could pick up the phone and call you and start talking about, hey man, I was on your Facebook page and I see you were from Timbuktu, Iowa, man. I used to live out there. So contact and basic information, again, how much you're going to put on here, you got to kind of figure that out, but definitely fill stuff in. Don't leave it blank. Family and relationships, again, here's an opportunity to fill more information on here on, who your family members are. Again, hey, you got to be the complete package, man. Details. Frank's is kind of empty here. About Frank, sky's the limit. That's all he's got about Frank. But you could put a pretty good little biography here. Like, you could kind of sum up your life story in a paragraph. Hey, like me, I grew up in Michigan and I lived there until I was like 28, and I moved to Florida. and I moved to Atlanta in 93, and I got, 3 kids and grandkids. You could put all that stuff in your about thing and favorite quotes. Hey, Frank, by the way, man, you didn't have a quote there. I threw one in for you. How do you like it? So those are things that you can kind of fill out. And again, people want to get to know you. Have that information out there. Life events, same kind of thing here. Where you went to school, where you went to college. Those are all things that, again, that can be potential rapport builders for people that come and check your page out. So with all that being said, photographs, again, great opportunity to get people to know you, because, again, if they're checking you out, they're probably going to check your photo page out and see what kind of photos you're putting out there. And, again, you probably want a little mix of everything. You want some business, as you can see in that top row there. Frank's got mostly business in that second row. It looks like he was at the Eagles game. Hey, Frank, was that the game where Detroit came in and beat your butt? Huh? Was that the Detroit game? Is that when that was? But again, if you got any stuff that's over the edge in your photos, take it out, man. I'm going to tell you, you don't want to paint that bad picture. So if you got any racy stuff or whatever in your photos, get rid of it. So, Facebook friends, some do's and don'ts. First things first, I don't know how many friends you have on Facebook, but if you look over here on the right-hand side, I'll kind of start down here. You want to shoot for 5,000. You're allowed 5,000 connections on Facebook as far as a personal page. So you want to really max out at 5,000 as quickly as you can. So, but first things first, I don't care how many you have. The first thing I would do is I would vet all my current friends. In fact, I did it tonight a little earlier. What I did, I've got close to 5,000, or let's just say 5,000. And what I usually do, I do this probably once a month, maybe once every couple months, is I flip through all my friends and I look for profiles that don't have a profile picture in it, because that usually means they've deactivated their account. And if they deactivated their account, there's somebody I don't want on my friends list, so I unfriend them. And when I do this, once a month or once every couple months, I'll find 15 or 20 people that for whatever reason are deactivated. And I don't know, I guess some people deactivate themselves for a little while and then they reactivate them later. I don't really understand that, but I just go through my stuff, my friends list. And if you don't have a profile pic, you're getting unfriended, because obviously you're not engaging, and you want engagement, especially if you're selling vehicles. You want people that, are going to engage, not people that aren't using the platform. So I would go through and I would vet all my friends. That's probably an easy way. I know there's some tools out there. I've heard a couple people talk about, and I don't know the name of it. You might have to do this, a Google search on finding what the name of this software is. I guess it goes through your friends list and it can tell you who's not engaging, and you can delete them, manually like that. But unfriend all the blank profiles. That's the second thing I got over there. Unfriend people. Hey, you got any friends in Outer Mongolia, baby, like I used to have? So, again, I think a lot of us did this. I know I did when I first started Facebook. Was, I wanted to get a lot of friends and have a lot of connections. And I was getting friend requests and I was making friend requests. It didn't matter where you lived, or, it really didn't matter. So I had all these people that weren't in the car business and they weren't in the United States, or not necessarily being in the United States is a big deal, but they weren't in the business. And I really wanted to kind of focus my page in my Facebook around, mostly people in the car business or in sales. So I got rid of all the people that lived in Russia and China and Outer Mongolia, because they ain't buying a car from you. Exception to the rule. But you really want to be able to friend people in your backyard, which is kind of going to be over there on the right, or maybe it's over here on the left. What do I got next? Oh, keep top performers in the auto space. Here's the other thing too. I know a lot of salespeople, they've got a lot of their friends are all in the car business, kind of like I do. I don't sell, I'm in management, and that's the reason why I think it's okay with me. But if I'm selling, if I was in sales right now, I would probably have 100 of the main influencers in the car business, and that would be it. I'd have 100. I'd had, you know, my 50 friends and family, and the rest I would try to friend, or I wouldn't try, I would do it. I would friend people. I'm in Atlanta, so I would be friending people in the metro Atlanta area, because those are the people that you want to see you, and you want to see your stuff, because they live in your own backyard. And if they're interested in a vehicle, you got a much better shot at selling somebody in your metro area than you do in outer Mongolia. It makes sense? So, and here's the next thing too. I don't know what the number is. I did a little research on this, on how many friend requests you can send each day before you go into jail, or they shut you down for, you know, whatever, 3 or 4 days. But you should be sending out, I'm going to say 25 to 50 people a day. You know, maybe 50 is too many, but you'll find whatever the sweet spot is. But again, if you want to get up to 50 or to 5,000 connections, you're going to have to make a commitment to send out friend requests on a daily basis. And, you know, one of the things is, you know, you can do searches for people that live in your area. You can go to the friends. I don't really have it detailed in this presentation, but just, you know, maybe to Google it or just figure it out. But you can go into the friends area and find people that live in your area and start sending friend requests out. If you sell somebody, obviously one of the questions you want to ask them, and I think I've got that in a future slide coming up, but if you sell somebody, one of the questions you got to be asking these people, hey, are you on Facebook? Well, of course I am. Well, great, because I'm going to send you a friend request. That way we can kind of stay in contact with each other. How's that sound on Facebook? That's another way you can get in contact with me. So once you are connected with a customer on Facebook, you can search their friends and kind of see who they're associated with. And if you want, you can send them friend requests. So Facebook don't keep people that don't engage. You know, if people don't engage, or they're, you know, they just have an account but they don't do anything on there, I'd get rid of them. I wouldn't waste my time. I would find someone else that is using the platform, because hey, if they're not using it, it's not really going to do you any good. The other thing, number 2 bullet point on there, is unfriend people that spew negativity. You know, I've heard people talk about how negative their page is. You know, they open their page and again, there's all kinds of political stuff and racist stuff. And, you know, that stuff, when you start reading it brings you down. It's like, it's very negative, and it can definitely have an effect on your mind. So I had the same problem at one time, because I was kind of embroiled in some of that stuff, and I was like, damn, this is depressing. So you know what I did? I just said, you know what? I'm getting rid of all the negativity. And what I did was I just got rid of those people. I started unfriending, and some of these people were pretty close. And I just got sick of seeing their political stuff every day. I got one guy that's in my friends, Sean Van Sock, I think is his last name. And he's like the only guy. I've got a friend that he's constantly putting, political stuff out there, but I like him, and he's the only one. So I'm just telling you, that stuff will wear you out. Don't accept friend requests from people you don't know that probably will never buy from you. Again, if someone sends you a friend request, do a little vetting, check their page out, see how active they are, see what kind of person they are. Again, if they've got a lot of negativity on their page, guess what? Pass, baby, pass. You don't need it. So this next page, if people don't respond to your friend requests, this is basically the other thing too. You know, if you're going to be sending out a lot of friend requests, and again, 20 to 25 is not a lot every day, but that's going to start adding up over time. So the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to kind of want to manage that, because Facebook does have a limit. And again, I don't know what the limit is. Might be a couple hundred, might be 300 or 400. But if you send a lot of friend requests out and people haven't responded, those things start adding up. And then when it gets to that limit and you go to send another friend request out, then Facebook will shut you down. They won't let you send any more friend requests out because you got too many of them out there. So my suggestion is, when you start sending friend requests out to a lot of people, or it starts to add up over time, one thing you're going to want to do is go back, 3 or 4 days, maybe you do a week or 3 days, I don't know, whatever the number is. But, if you send out 20 requests, let's say 4 or 5 days ago, and only maybe 3 or 4 have responded, and now you got, 17 that haven't, just go ahead and rescind the response, and maybe you can do it again later. But you want to kind of keep on track of how many requests that you have out there, because again, if you get too many, you won't be able to send any more out. So this page kind of gives you a way on how to do that. Settings, you could probably do a whole freaking video on settings, on all the different Facebook settings. The only one I'm going to go over here is the public setting. You definitely want your stuff public. Hey, you don't want to be restrictive. Again, this is all about connecting with people, and you don't want to be restrictive on who you want to see your stuff. So when you post stuff, you want the whole world to be able to see it. So the way to do that is go up here and click on this little icon right here. It's going to drop down to this page, this window right here. Click on the settings, go down here to public posts, and just make sure that you're public. I think the default setting is probably public, but I'm not 100% sure, but just check that out. That's the one setting you probably just want to make sure that it's set that way. Facebook Marketplace. Now, this is kind of a newer thing, but again, my buddy Sean, he was telling me about how successful he was by putting stuff out on Marketplace. Personally, I haven't done it. I've talked to 2 or 3 people that have, and if you want your phone to blow up with text messages, and if you want your messenger to blow up with people that are in the market, you gotta go to Facebook Marketplace and figure that out. Again, I'm not an expert in Facebook Marketplace, but I will tell you this. I know several people that have told me that it works, and it's a lot of sifting, but hey, let's face it, guys, you got 8, 9, 10 hours at the dealership and customers aren't walking in all day. What are you doing with your time? Facebook Marketplace is something that you should be investing some time in, because you can sell vehicles and you can find people that are in the market to buy vehicles. So with that being said, Facebook management. Hey, as a manager, if you're a manager watching this, here's what I'm thinking. Because I know of the power of this platform, and because I know that it has nothing but benefits, and it doesn't cost a dime, right? Especially, from a personal standpoint. If I'm a manager, I want to manage my salespeople to make sure that they're using the platform, because I know if I can get them to use it, all it's going to do is help the dealership. Because if you've got 14 or 15 or 16 salespeople and they're out there posting, 4, 5, 6 times a day, and it's all about them, and it's all about vehicles, and it's all about, things about what they like and whatnot, guess what? That's only going to help you guys sell more cars on a much bigger platform than what you're doing now. Because typically, and again, I'm just guessing by what I see out there, but each store probably has 1 or 2 or 3 guys, maybe, that are leveraging the power of Facebook and social media. Some dealerships might not have any, but just think, if you had every single person on your sales floor that was doing the things that they need to do in order to generate business. Because let's face it, when I was doing this in 2009, people weren't having a lot of success with selling vehicles on Facebook. Today, and you guys know who they are probably better than I do, there's people out there selling 20 and 30 cars a month just off of Facebook. What are they doing? They're doing all the stuff we're talking about here today. So just imagine you got your whole sales floor doing that, not just 1 or 2 people. It's going to pay huge results. So, here's an example for you right here. If you got 14 salespeople, and let's just say all 14 have 3,000 connections, that's 42,000 possible connections. And again, if they're doing it right, it's 42,000 in your own backyard. By tapping into the power of this platform, I'm telling you right now, you can cut back on your advertising expenses. I know our group in our stores, we're like every month, if it's not 6 digits in advertising, it's really close. That's a hell of a lot of money to be spending on a month-to-month basis where, let's think about it for a minute. all the people that we're marketing to, they live in our backyard, right? Some of them are within a 10 to 12 mile radius, and we're paying, you know, vendors, and we're paying this and we're paying that to get all these leads. Well, guess what? These 42,000 or whatever the number is, this is the same. These people are all on Facebook, man. They're already out there. And if we can capture them through social media and Facebook in particular, guess what? Advertising costs can be slashed, baby, which, hey, all this goes to the bottom line. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. When commenting on your friend's post, be cognizant of your responses. Again, be positive, be upbeat. Don't be dragging people down into the mud and, you know, name calling and that kind of thing. You know, be that guy or be that girl that's doing the right thing, and you know what that is. Always respond to everyone that comments on your post. You know, if you follow me at all, you'll see, and I'm obviously the GIF king, right? I even got him on here, but if you notice, when I put a post out there, I respond to every single person that comments on anything that I do. It's almost like common courtesy. And if you're continually putting posts out there and people are responding, but you're not responding back, hey, I think at a certain point it's going to turn people off. I think people on my page, for instance, they probably comment just because they want to see what GIF I'm going to hit them with, baby. You know, it's like, I don't really like this post he put out there, but I'm just kind of curious to see what kind of GIF he's going to give me. So I'm going to tell you, respond to everybody. And again, it's just a common courtesy thing. So give more than you expect to receive. That's kind of like a life quote, but it's true here in Facebook. You know, give, serve, serve, serve. Put your stuff out there. Don't really expect anything in return. You'll see the results, I promise you, if you just keep doing the right thing. And then, of course, take the high road, man. Sometimes it's hard to bite your tongue, but I'm just telling you that it's better to bite it than put it out there and get it whacked. So tagging, another big thing. You know, again, these guys like the Bill Halves and the Sean Hayeses of the world, you know, the guys that really, you know, monetized this platform. You know, again, what are they doing? Well, they're connecting with their customers. Hey, Mr. Customer, you on Facebook? Oh, of course I am. Will you mind if I send you a friend request? That way we're linked up. Oh yeah, no problem, right? And then, like Bill did, you know, he was out there with his dashboard diaries with all these testimonials, and of course, what was he doing? He was tagging this customer in it, and who saw all his videos? Guess what? The customer. How do you blow it up, man? Again, you need to think about how you can get eyeballs in front of you and what you're doing. And when you can tag a customer, or better yet, you know, have them tag it, guess what? It's just doing nothing but multiplying the possibilities of people seeing you and seeing what you're doing. So if and when they are in the market for a vehicle, guess what? You got a shot. And that's how the big boys have been rocking and rolling. Facebook Lives, you know, you see a lot of people out there doing Facebook Lives. Personally, I've probably done, I don't know, over the last 2 or 3 years, I'm guessing somewhere around 300. And, you know, they're kind of intimidating when you first start doing them. But, hey, let's face it, folks, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You heard that before, too, right? What better way to get uncomfortable than do a Facebook Live? Because you don't get a second chance. You could delete it, I guess, but I guess why I kind of like Facebook Lives is because it puts a little pressure on you. And if you do a bunch of them, you'll see, you almost get like the urge to want to keep doing them. And when you don't do them, you like get thirsty to do a live. So I'm telling you right now, though, people can get to know you. They can get to see your personality. And don't worry about messing up, man. Again, people want to see the real you. They don't want to see that facade. So it's a great way to showcase your personality, to showcase your cars, to showcase your family. Go live, baby. I'd say, you know, at least once a week, get on there, put yourself out there, and don't worry about any of the results. So with all that being said, that's it. So I really thank you for checking it out. But more importantly, I'd like to get some feedback. I know this is kind of long, but I'm sure you guys some of you will check it out. But I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I want to present this to our group. And before I do, I want to fine tune it to where I really got it down. So I really appreciate you checking it out. and would appreciate some commentary as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the Flipper Flopper.